Welcome to the Shenanicast. I'm DeSimX7930, and I am joined with my co-jackwagon, Durgan, and our special guest and also founder of Argus Industrial Moons, Tobias. Tobias, how's it going?
It is going excellent. I was wondering which version of my name you're going to go with there. I'm glad you went with the more adult version.
The one without numbers?
Yes.
What are you saying about people with numbers in their names?
Well, this is our first episode, and this is going to be an interesting one. Just talk about some things, a little bit on how the OTL first started, and kind of lead up to this point a little bit. Different things that's happened over the past week. We're going to try to do semi on a weekly basis, I think.
Yeah, roughly.
If it can work out that
Scheduling
way.
allows, yeah. We can cover a couple weeks at a time if we need to, so.
Yeah, for sure. Just to improve things that's happened over the past couple of weeks, like enhancements that could potentially be coming for the OTL and OL mod in general, and just chit-chatting about how things are standing. And as Durgan also puts in the notes, unfortunately, this episode is not sponsored by Dr. Pepper.
So I had to keep the koozie on the can.
So it's sponsored by
it's always drinking. Hey, could always dream. I mean, one day.
Right. All right. So what do you think? We should start with just how the OTL became and stuff like that. We think we want to start with that.
Well, we kind of had that slated for last. I figured we would get right into.
Yeah, we'll say it last.
Yeah. It's at the end here. So I figured talk of the week is just kind of what's going on in the community and on the server, particularly with the devs involved. Tobias being one of them here. We've got several things that were on the results of the September 2022 balance poll. First of all, some adjustments to weapons, a little bit of quality of life updating, and then we got some other potential enhancements that are maybe coming down the pipe as these developers put the time and energy into this labor of love. We'll discuss the implications for some of those. So if we want to start with just what was on the balance poll, the first line item on there that is confirmed to be changing or will be at least up for some balance testing is an improvement to Cyclone.
Yeah, I was actually just chit-chatting with Ronclay about that just a little bit ago, and he mentioned that one of the things that potentially will be in testing is the spin-up time could be decreased. Tobias, are you involved in any of that? I don't remember.
Yeah, so we've played with it a little bit as far as adjusting Cyclone spin up, and Birdseye kind of has a group where we're looking at what we're calling slow overload, where it's basically just slowing the weapons down, kind of more of a travel time weapon influence type of game, just as kind of a side option. And we actually in that played with just flat out removing the spin up time altogether for Cyclone. Granted, small group that's tested that so far, but it actually didn't seem to have negative feedback.
Okay.
I don't know necessarily what the results as far as for OL mod itself. If it's going to be spin up time greater than 0, I would assume it's going to be, somewhere in the middle from where it is now. But maybe a little bit of a change of the paradigm of Chili's old hide the Cyclone while you warm it up and then emerge from the cave sort of scenario or pillar or what have you.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of sound involved with like spinning that up. It's just like the Thunderbolt. You give your position away, way early, but you don't really have the same, one-hit benefit of the Thunderbolt as well. It's, you're just spraying damage at maybe an appreciable rate. So it kind of makes sense that would be a popular one. And it did pass 83 to 17% on there, so pretty wide berth there, yeah. So the next one we had on the list there was teammate health bars. I think this one's actually been in discussion for a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. From what I understand, it kind of got mixed review on that a little bit. Some people didn't feel like they wanted it, and some people thought it cluttered the screen too much. And apparently, a majority of them were like, "Let's do it."
Yeah.
Where did that vote end up shaking out?
82 to 18.
Okay, so there's kind of been a separation between teammate health bar and then knowing how much damage you're inflicting to the opponent.
Mhm.
And the ladder's kind of been a contentious thing in the six-off community for for a long time, even though it's available in plenty of other shooters.
Yeah.
Seems like the teammate health didn't seem to be remotely that contentious, so that was interesting to see. I believe Luponix has already submitted code for that. It's just been
Oh, nice.
Oh, has he?
it's been sitting there dark, so I haven't seen what it looks like or anything. But I believe that work's been mostly done, so that's nice.
That's awesome. It's nice
Yeah,
when the stuff
that's
is done ahead of
good.
time, and it's just a matter of making sure everybody wants to throw it in. But it's like
Yep.
putting the
Yeah.
time into it to begin with. It's like I know y'all are experimenting with a lot behind the scenes before it
Mm.
even sees the light of day. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they usually call me in to do the alpha testing, especially Tobias.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to break something? I'm like, let's do it.
I need a jack wagon. Where can I find one? Where's my jack wagon?
Plenty of dumb ideas out there that never see the light of day, but D-Max and I might have seen them.
Oh, boy.
And we never
Yeah.
speak of them again.
Yep, pretty much.
So the next one on the board, which is probably the biggest spread on the votes, is 98% to 2% for 4 configurable loadouts. I think
Yeah.
everybody's wanted this forever. It's never made any sense to only have one gunner or one bomber. So I think this is going to be welcomed by pretty much. Who voted 2%? Who did the? Why? Why?
Oh no.
No idea who would have done such a thing. It would have been. It might have been me.
I come to think of it, I think you did say you did it just to spite everyone.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Somewhat, and just somewhat my my non-love of the ammo game, and what
That's
Yeah.
understandable.
to the
Yeah.
table of that being more accessible as the match goes on, and things
Yeah.
just migrate to, oh, this is competitive. Let's all be running ammo.
Yeah. That's
So
unfortunate.
it may not be anything valid to that, but that's where my lone vote came from.
Yeah, I'm kind of concerned about that a little bit myself. But the way I also look at it, if they're gonna run ammo, they're gonna do it anyways, whether it's 1 or 2
Sure.
or 4 or whatever.
Yep.
And then the other half of perhaps I guess the other half of the teammate and maybe opponent health bars has been the idea of damage numbers, which is another thing a lot of other shooters have that is pretty contentious in sixth off, as you said. So we're looking at testing to see what the UI for that is going to look like, and then kind of what the options will be for. Are we even going to use this in the OTL? But can we at least use it in Anarchy? Give people a little bit of a chance to catch up and flatten that curve a little bit on the learning, just because it's difficult to know if you're even hitting things sometimes. The game straight up lies about it, like to your face on screen. And so like having a confirmation that damage was actually done and how much is really going to be huge for anybody and we see them all the time. I think that's probably why I'm most passionate about this kind of thing, is because we see people come in through the door here all the time. They'll get the game, they'll play it once or twice, and then they're done. There's absolutely nothing to hold them in unless they're just have that switch in their brain and it happens to click for them.
Right.
So I really think that this is one of those things that'll maybe open the door a little bit and get help grow the community a little bit.
I don't think there's any real reason to not at least have it as an option, whether or not the OTL chooses to adopt it or not.
Yeah.
I could see it being useful even for team practices or whatever. Just to have that sense. Of feedback.
Yeah. So that way you can, hey, I did 82 damage to you. Nope, you only did 16.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
Yeah,
And it's been tough as we change the balance on some of these weapons too, and your call outs of hitting 5 crusher shots and calling out to your teammates how low the other person is. Your old habits may not be accurately reflecting things. Same Cyclone Drill or any of those that we've kind of been touching. So OTL as a whole can decide whether or not to use it or not.
The great Ronk Lord.
Yeah.
Yes, I know he hates hearing that, but that's the reason why I said it.
Yeah, I do like the idea of that too, of it being potentially useful down the line for when you guys start tweaking damage and rates of fire to weapons and all that. It's like, yeah, that's another thing you can use to just see right on the spot.
Yep.
Is that change taking effect correctly, or is there something way off here? So, all right.
Yep.
So one of the other things that came up this past week, I believe, was pretty recent. Was Fireball started making some posts about the audio occlusion that he's looking to implement.
Yeah, he's really been taking off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been wild just seeing how quickly he's coming up with this stuff. Yeah, whenever he first brought it to because I believe it was you and Fireball Tobias were working on this, and then you brought it to us on AIM to be like, hey, let's just try it out, and it was definitely really cool to see and see and hear, I guess you could say.
Right. Yeah, no, it's been he's a smart dude, just never had like, one of those passion topics to get over the hurdle and jump into modding, and he knows audio well, his side endeavors and everything, so he's just been getting right into it, and it's been kind of fun to watch, look over his shoulder a little bit, help where I can.
Yeah, I know the last one that we tried, if I remember right, he had it to where like if creepers are on the left side, you only heard it on the left side and stuff like that. That's gonna be wild if that ever gets implemented.
I'm actually really gonna love that.
That's fantastic quality of life. The creepers in particular are number one. Is the number one thing I'm most excited about.
Yeah.
The occlusion itself is good too, but yeah, having directionality to some of this audio feedback definitely helps.
It's so important anyway. I mean, Six Stuff, you're working in all directions all the time anyway, so every little bit of input that you get like that is valuable. And whether you realize it or not, your brain's going to be integrating it in some way.
Right.
So I believe we've also got some VR fixes on the way, which this is your game for sure.
Yeah, Rock Lake. Basically, the problems with VR right now, like I just got into the VR side of things like a year ago, and so I thought everything was normal. But Yoshimitsu pointed out that the objects that are outside of your cockpit and everything like that are much larger than they should be. And apparently Ronkley has found a way to adjust the outside world and everything like that so the objects aren't as huge. Again, I think he mentioned something about like scale 10 or something like that. Looks very, very, very tiny, but it also messes with your cockpit, I guess. I do know he's looking into that. And potentially I'll be testing that relatively soon. I think he said that he's going to be looking into getting that implemented for testing for 5.6. 0.56.
Nice.
And another thing, I don't know if Ronkley has looked into this yet, but Crusher and Flak in VR, for whatever reason, tanks your frames. Yeah, whenever I'm in VR, like I just discovered this the other day when I was testing streaming out, playing on my new 3070 and stuff like that. 90 FPS with everything on low, of course. 90 FPS solid pretty much through 98% of the game. But when I bring Flak and Crusher, it gets almost virtually cut in half.
And only when you're shooting, right?
Only when I'm shooting.
So it's something with that effect that's just something about that effect isn't efficient. It's just
I'm half wondering if it's the muzzle shot, like the muzzle flash, and the particles that the Flak uses. So I'm wondering if that's what is causing it, but I don't know.
Has anyone else tried it and experienced the same thing? Do you know?
That I don't know.
Okay.
Now, I know Ronkley witnessed it on my stream, but I don't know if he's actually witnessed it himself on his VR headset.
Sure.
I don't know if Bits did, because Bits was playing on it in VR earlier, and he had to stop because, well, apparently he got sick.
That's not what
even
you
a season is
yeah.
Even the season.
That's what shocked me. I was like, whoa, okay.
That's something I'm morbidly curious about with VR. Like, I've got the headset in there. I've never hooked it up and played Overload with it.
It's a lot of fun, but
I don't know what to expect.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun if you get used to it and everything. I'm honestly surprised on how well I'm handling it. Because last winter I actually sat down and played through Josham's campaign, Dinosaur in Distress. Both parts that he did the complete version, I played through the whole thing in one setting in VR.
How long was that?
Roughly 2.5 hours, I think.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't remember. I know it was over 2 hours.
I'm pretty sure that's beyond what the warning labels recommend, but you know,
Right.
we're PC gamers. Who cares?
Yeah, right.
The rules don't apply to us.
We stare at
Yep.
computer screens for 16 plus hours a day sometimes.
So y'all need like a VR party or something to figure out this Crusher and Flak thing, see if it actually affects everybody or not.
Yeah, I do know. Ronkley mentioned earlier. I don't know if he's still going to or not. I do know myself, potentially Ronkley. Yoshi, I think, is still up for it, but later tonight we were going to try and do some anarchies in VR.
Nice.
But this actually happened today. I was half joking, but I will do it if he actually does it. But Ronkley mentioned a bit. I'm like, if you play VR in our next 3 queen set, I will. And apparently he's all for it.
Ooh.
I'm like,
Oh,
let's
man.
do it.
Have an official OTL VR grudge match. I love this.
Yeah, Fireball also mentioned that if he could borrow I think he said his sister's.
Mhm.
The sister has the VR headset. He was gonna try to borrow hers. That also.
Oh,
play
that'd be
it with
amazing.
me.
That would
I
be
think.
a neat set of side conditions. Like we're already doing Tyrex on some of these matches to get rid of the ammo VR challenge between teams, particularly the people that don't normally play it.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting time.
And halfway through the second match.
Yep, those poor buckets.
Yep.
Well, that wraps up our talk of the week there. What we would normally do at this point, and as we go into the next episodes, we'll be going into the briefing, which is taking a look at the rankings of the teams as they stand now. And since the last episode, we're in a bit of a strange spot right now because this season began back in, I believe, June 30th. Season began back in June 30th. So it's already been running for a while, but we've had some major shakeups of a couple of forms. One is a lot of team players have been shifting around. So the landscape of who's on what team is not the same as it was at the beginning. The second is that the ranking system has changed drastically from previous seasons. I believe Season 7 was using it, right? Or was it only a Season 8 thing? Okay. So
Last season was in the same format.
yeah, so there's a mathematical thing with this ranking system where until you've played 3 matches and have an official win rate against each other team, the system needs all teams to play each other before it can really assign the values that it needs on there. And the more games between them, the better. So probably the first thing that we need to look at is the fact that not all teams have played each other this season, even though it's been several months. Looking at the chart that I've got here, this is the OTL Shenanicast chart of please unfuck your team rankings. This is so what this chart is showing is basically a check mark for every team that has played the minimum of 3 games against each other, and all the ones that need to have those matches done. Some only need 1 or 2, some need all 3. Take a look at this. You can see exactly what's going on here and why some of those teams on the chart, their ranking isn't exactly where we would expect. We take a look over here at the season standings. We have Sorry Guys on top, which is maybe not too much of a surprise for anybody watching previous seasons here. They have a ranking of 1,600 flat and a 46-0 win-loss record, so I believe that is the highest they can get right now. And looking at SG on that chart, the only team that they have not played a full 3 matches against so far is 3 Queens. So if I'm not mistaken, that rating can actually go a little bit higher than 1,600 if they
they're playing them right
in.
now.
They are playing them right now. Okay, well that's gonna change as soon as this episode's done then. So yeah, Following a pretty close second at 1456, we have Argus Industrial Moons there with a 55-55 and 4 ties record. Right above 3 Queens at 1350 with 17-5-1. And those are our top 3 right there. Below that, we've got Dynacore Enterprises, NVIDIA, and just another team, and the rest following there. Space Cowboys, The Boys, Disoriented in Minds, Post-Terran Mining Corporation, and Old Man Gaming. And obviously, you look at some of these teams here that are in the low ranks. This is what I was talking about. Until we get all those matches in against all the other teams, those rankings are not going to show correctly. So take a look at that chart. And somewhere on your row, you've got a red 3 or a red 1 or something. get in touch with that team that's up on the column. Get your matches scheduled, please, at some point during the season so we can get actual rankings on there for everybody.
You are officially known as the Slack Wagon.
The Slack Wagon, that's right.
There was one other thing that we actually skipped over on the Talk of the Week.
Go ahead.
And Fireball's Hitbox.
Oh, how did I miss that?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, that's
Hitbox
amazing.
accuracy stuff.
Oh, yes, we absolutely have to hit
That's
that.
what. Yeah, we wing it here, of course.
Well, that's been more experimental, and it wasn't anything that was on the September balance poll or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was something that, again, we were kind of looking at from Bird's Eye Slow Overload mod that he's kind of been directing. And something we were finding that I don't think anyone had ever really visualized before is, okay, what is the hitbox of the Kodachi even?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a giant sphere. And you've got this empty space above your cockpit that feels real bad to get hit in because half the time it's not hitting you there if you've dodged sideways or something like that. So through some experimentation, we were like, let's see if we can feed in, kind of a simplified mesh of the Kodachi and use that for, form. Apparently D3, and I didn't play any D3, had an option in multiplayer called accurate collisions.
Yep.
Vaguely remember this.
I think it was people got to where they would play it on LAN but wouldn't play it over the internet. Probably especially over the time that back during D3's heyday, that makes sense. But
Yeah.
A lot of people still on dial-up.
yeah.
Oh,
So-
yeah, back in those days. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just last I want to say Friday night or something was our first time trying it at a larger scale with more than just Fireball and I testing things. And we actually got some decent feedback, it seemed like. We weren't sure if it was going to feel pretty bad given the unevenness of Overload's netcode.
Oh, yeah.
Put it lightly, it's light years beyond what it was, but it's still still a little bit of a mystery. It ended up playing a little bit better. It increased the time to kill a little bit, but didn't feel just oppressive to try to hit somebody. And really where it felt better was on the dodging side for me personally. I felt like I could dodge shots a little more.
Yeah,
good.
I did as well.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to see that one yet, but I'm really looking forward to it. Just from the images that we showed on here that were in that channel, I mean, it's another thing that's just completely unintuitive. You've got this giant sphere. By the way, your ship and your view is in the bottom half of it. Like, it's not something anyone would ever guess or know, especially someone starting it fresh. So it's really good to see that, and it really explained to me a lot of the jank that I've seen in the past. Like getting hit when you've clearly dodged something and it's just like a light year over your head, it still makes contact. So this is another one I'm really excited for.
Yeah, I think it'll be good to test out further and get feedback, but I can see positive things coming from this for sure.
All right, well, I guess we can continue from here since, like I said, we're just kind of doing a roll-up for this first season or this first episode to get our teams on the board and see what their rankings are. We're going to be doing a comparative one next week that's a little more detailed, shows some highlights, some matches that are making a difference in the rankings from one week to the next. It's going to get a lot more interesting from here on out, I believe. So with that said, we'll go into our team spotlight. Every week we're going to focus on one of the teams that's on the board, and this week we're starting alphabetically with Argus Industrial Moons and Tobias, who's right here.
Oh, hey, that's me.
A little bit of backstory. The name actually came from Krusty Campaign. I believe that was in collab with wasn't Josham part of that collab? It was Josham, Havoc did voice.
Right.
There's some voice comms stuff like that. Argus Industrial Moons is actually a split off from Dynacore Enterprises. So whenever you were choosing your pilots and everything like that, did you have a philosophy on what you're looking for when you were trying to find them, or was it, hey, I'm just gonna grab these guys because they're a bunch of jack wagons and they'll fly well with me?
It's the best way to recruit. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, look at me. He chose. I'm on his team, so
through a circuitous path, you're here. Yeah. But no, I think that was like summer 2020. So gosh, it's been a little over 2 years now.
Yeah.
I want to say it was still July or so. So at that point, DC was, I was on DC at the time. They're actually at a similar size to what they are now. I think we technically had 11 on the team at the time.
I think so. I think we
Through
had
a weird waiver process where
yeah, because we had to because Sleepy Panda, which was new at the time, she wanted to really get involved in stuff, and Runkley wanted to make that happen and stuff at that point.
Yep. And so some backstory, especially, back then over 2 years ago in the OTL, on the lower end, there was not a ton of options as far as kind of more casual gameplay. It was pretty much OMG and and DC duking it out for
My
for
gosh,
a chance of competitive matches there.
it got ugly for a while.
Oh, did it?
Ugh.
This is before my time, right?
Yeah, this would have
Yeah.
been a little
Early
before
OMG.
your time.
Nice.
Yeah,
Wish I'd
yeah,
seen
it was
that.
pretty much nonstop matches between OMG and DC, just to have some less oppressive gameplay and let maybe some of the lower skilled or less comfy pilots, get some more cockpit time in. But yeah, we had 11. We were technically over the cap at the time, and I think we, DMAX, Josh, and I had all kind of talked each other into it. What if we've got enough people? It's tough to, when you're managing a roster of 11, it's tough to get everyone action. What if we split off? So we kind of tried to divvy it up talent wise, tried not to stack one team more than the other. I think at the time, starting off, it was myself, Havoc, Havoc's wife, Like an Apple, Sleepy Panda, and Warp. I think there were 5 of us
That
to
sounds
start
right.
off with, I believe. We had some additions later after that, but yeah, that was kind of the starting split. Oh yeah, gosh, over 2 years ago now.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride ever since. Heck, it's been a
Yeah.
wild ride since the beginning of OTL.
Yep, and it was, yeah, just trying to get more fun games in. Try to have 2 accessible teams. Should any new people hop into the league or want to hop into the league, new people hopping into pubs or whatever, the stronger ranked teams weren't always quick to take on newcomers. It was very competitive. Kind of just wanted to be a kind of a feeding ground for new players to have a kind of a landing spot. So we've still kind of tried to continue that mantra,
Yeah, for sure.
I would say at this point, you guys have become very competitive, though. Nonetheless,
It's
I mean,
we've got
roster and activity wise, like you guys are playing left and right. And
Yeah.
I was talking to D-Max earlier. Actually, he said, you have Fireball in there. I know helping to schedule matches as well. Another thing he's involved with. He's got a very busy schedule for you guys, doesn't he?
it's been kind of funny. It's shades of D-Max, who back when we were both on DC used to always be the the ringleader for spurring on, making sure we were playing about every night. Fireball's taken that on and then some.
By far.
I think
he surpassed me by a lot, like almost doubled.
my most matches in a season came under Fireball's pushing and not D-Max's, if that says anything.
Yeah, even I was impressed. Whatever I saw, I was like, hats off to you, sir. Yeah, it's wild. Like right now, AIM's current lineup, we got Tobias, we got Cowboy, myself, Fireball, Jazzy Jet, and we've got he's named Mike on here, but basically Franman, which is one of the shakeups that we'll talk about in a bit. He's now on Sorry Guys for the bit. So with these changes, because AIM also went through recent changes, you acquired myself, you acquired Jazzy Jet, and so since you've acquired us over the past couple weeks and stuff like that, is there any matches that stand out for like good or bad, or is there something that you think we should improve on, like aim wise and stuff like that?
The one thing I've always liked and AIM's kind of always been about is just being willing to pretty much play anyone whenever. We're all we've all kind of just tried to get better. We've never really been necessarily on the rankings or win-loss column the strongest team, but gosh darn it, we're going to try to work our butts off to put the reps in to try to just organically improve. So our last week was fairly quiet, but one of the most fun sets that stands out to me was actually Durgan. You'll remember our set with the boys was like a week and a half ago. I want to say.
Was it the first one where I was coming back in? I think we had Whip Ass and some other ones.
Yeah.
Or was it after that?
Yeah.
This one was. We ended up doing a 4-part set. I think.
Oh right. Okay.
And I think we were like, I was only able to join for games 3 and 4, but we ended up doing Tire X, and they ended up being 2-point games. I think they were both 2-point games in your guys' favor. But just very close, neck and neck the whole way. Gosh, those were some really fun games to me that kind of stood out.
Yeah.
I think both teams had to work their butts off.
Definitely. Yeah, the ones that I've had, and that does come to mind, that were extremely close like that, those are the ones worth playing the game for. Those are, oh my God, just every minute, just something going on, something you're trying to pick apart, some little change you can make in the last second to try and get a couple extra points in. Those are the good matches right there.
Yep.
Yeah, hats off to y'all. That was a blast. I loved that.
No, that was one of those that's going to be a learning experience for us too. I'm trying to figure out how to close out games because you guys flat out got it done. It's impressive. And I didn't get to play. I think it was this weekend. We had pretty close. You guys had a pretty close set with Sorry Guys. Seemed like there were some
had tight ones there.
More or less 10-point type games.
Yeah, I think the main thing that shocked SG, I guess wasn't shock, but even Birds, for the first time in an actual OTL match, I manned Flak for a little bit. Birds was manning Flak. I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'll bring it myself. And I brought, and he even said that especially for somebody who don't religiously use it or anything like that. I mean, I've got very little. I'm pretty sure I have less than an hour worth of time with the Flak. And he said,
Sure.
especially for somebody who don't use it, I did really well with it. But no, I do not intend on becoming a Flak player. I will always be a Thunderbolt player. but I think especially for me, for my growth, I think it will be good if I got a better handle on the other weapons and stuff like that, because obviously I'm not going to be able to take out somebody with Flak or Driller 100% of the time with Thunderbolt.
Mm-hmm. I think that's part of a natural progression pilots go through to just experimenting with different weapons.
Yeah.
Even if it's just, this month I'm going to use whatever. Come October I'll try something different, whatever. It's good to have those skills in your tool belt,
Yeah, definitely.
Even if you don't like the weapon. It's good.
Sometimes,
good
especially if you don't like the weapon. I mean,
yeah.
I'm getting wrecked with this thing. I need to know why.
Right. Yeah, it feels bad.
Yeah.
What am I going to do to counter it? And sometimes using that weapons lets you kind of find the shortcomings and things you can exploit on it. So,
yep,
I think it's healthy.
Yep. So our most important question here, probably, when are you kicking DMAX?
Has Discord released have they released Devastators yet? I think I can get with Nitro because I'm pretty sure if I do that,
I'll just draw that on the screen. I'll just.
Where is D-Max? D-Max has left team aim.
He'll edit it in where my screen just flies off and goes in a fire inferno.
No. Oh no, it's been good having D-Max on for the short time that he's been here so far. It's we're kind of a vibes team, Mostly just we want to be the fun team,
Yeah.
And certainly with our lineup right now, I'm loving it from that aspect.
Yeah,
It's good to hear.
So you're safe for now, D-Max, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Well, we got one last thing on here, and this was D-Max's baby. We're going to rewind a little further and go right into the beginning of the OTL history of how this came about and how we all ended up here.
Yeah, Tobias has been here almost as long as I have. Like within a couple days.
Yeah, one sec.
Yeah. When was the first? I believe the first OTL match was against PTMC and 3Q, if I recall correctly. I could be wrong. If you watch this, definitely correct me if I'm wrong on that. But yeah, season one, Rockley is the one that runs this whole shenanigan and everything like that. Been a lot of teams and everything like that forming over the past and everything like that. Let's go back to season one. Versus how it is today, like we've got 11 teams right now, but season one, only 6. Sorry, guys. PTMC, NVIDIA, 3 Queens, OMG, and Dynacore. And Dynacore playing the most games out of the whole league with a win of 3 and a loss of 220, I should say.
Ooh.
It was tough.
Ooh.
Dynacore was actually founded by Josham, who actually was part of Old Man Gaming. Well, he split off to form a new team called Dynacore. Brought me on back when I didn't even have a rig. My old rig blew up, so I was in between rigs. Next thing I know, I'm getting a message saying, "Oh, by the way, you're a captain now." I'm like, "Wait, what?" Had no idea what I was doing or anything. But yeah, as Tobias said earlier, OMG, Old Man Gaming and Dynacore, they were just back and forth duking it out. We were just duking it out every day almost. What was it? The anticipation was like 156 games by the end of the season at that point, just between the two teams or something like that.
Yeah, Puddles probably remembers the exact number, but
yeah, I don't remember the exact numbers.
yeah.
But over the seasons and everything like that, things have grown a little bit. Season 2, we grew one team, Disoriented Minds, and we also had Sidewinder Mercenaries as well that formed as by. I believe it was Dreas that formed Sidewinder Mercenaries. Yeah, because Dreas left Dynacore to form that team. And then we later in season 3 got another team called Space Cowboys, and Code was one of the founders for that team, and he still currently plays to this day. And then in season 4, that is when Argus Industrial Moons came into the picture, as Tobias mentioned earlier. Dynacore grew so big, and there wasn't really any lower half means of fun battles or everything like that. So Dynacore split in half. Argus Industrial Moons formed. So, golly, it was like a good solid 2 or 3 months. It was DC and AIM just constantly duking it out back and forth with each other.
Yep, seemed like it.
Yeah. And then a lot of shakeups over the past quite a few months. I left Dynacore on season 5 and joined PTMC for a little over a year. I was with them all the way last half of season 5 all the way up to this season. And then of course this season is the biggest shakeup since the formation of the league. Not only we've got over the course of the past couple years, we've had multiple servers go up, the Overloaders, which myself and Puddles host, and Rugkley expanding his Azure servers, also Dreas hosting his, the formation of OL Mod, which Tobias has a lot of stuff going on with that as well. It was at the beginning. It was Arnie first developed OMOD, and then he kind of handed the reins over to Ronkley.
I
And
remember
then,
that name from somewhere.
Yeah, he's big. He's big in the Descent community.
Okay.
He's big, especially when it comes to fixes and stuff like that.
He's on readmes from like the original source release or the
Oh
first
wow.
source port of Descent 1 back in the
Like,
97, 98, whenever it was.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny to see he's been kind of a constant through all these years. Smart dude.
Yeah, and lots of enhancements going on in OL mod. And for those who are run across this are like, what the heck is OL mod? OL mod is basically a client side deal to where it injects itself into Overload with quality of life fixes. I guess is what a dirty way of saying that. I guess.
Yeah, it's basically all quality of life.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where the original Overload, you had the matchmaking system, which Revival had their Amazon servers. Those have been shut down, and because Revival have disbanded, so quality of life fixes and everything have been and support have been handed down to the community, and just a lot of quality of life. I remember whatever to get around the not being able to do LAN and stuff like that. We use Hamachi.
Oh, yeah,
We
I
use
remember that.
Kodachi to virtually simulate a LAN connection, and then now we've got these custom servers running with courtesy of Tobias, a server browser that runs very well. But yeah, just a lot of things have happened with Overload over the past few years, and although especially with the OTL going up all the way up to season 8, which is what we're on right now. Now, like I mentioned a second ago, season 8, in my opinion, is the biggest shakeup since the formation of OTL. Like because we've got the formation of one team, TB, or called the Boys. We had folks that left Old Man Gaming to form that team. We had Laponics, who was on PTMC. He left that team and joined TB. We had Zero, who is a big time pilot who was on NVIDIA. He left NVIDIA and joined Dynacore. I left PTMC and joined AIM with Tobias. And we also have Zor, or also known as Jedi Luke. He left Space Cowboys and joined Dynacore as well. So
not forget Jazzy Jet too.
Yep, and Jazzy Jet as well. Jazzy left Sorry Guys to join AIM as well. From my understanding, the original mix-up was Jazzy and Zero got to chit-chatting, and they wanted to leave their respective teams to help the other teams out to get them up to be a little bit more competitive and a little more fun. So that way it's not just a constant Sorry Guys versus NVIDIA type deal as much.
Same two final bosses over the prior 7 seasons or whatever.
It's been a good result too. Like if you look at the list of teams here, like I can't look at any one of those teams and even begin to consider sleeping on them. Like any of these fights that we go into, like I know we're gonna have to bring a game.
Totally depends on lineups and everything for sure.
Yeah. And whether because lineups and even because as we've seen over the past several seasons, you can have your best lineup, but if one of your team members isn't having the best game, like if for whatever reason they're just cold that day, they're not heated up or whatever, it could throw things out of balance. I am one of them that's known to be hot and cold. Some days I'm hot, some days I'm like, what the filth and foul is going on? But yeah, it's just been a wild ride this season, and we also Franman, he left AIM to join Sorry Guys.
Yep.
And I believe he's sticking around there for the rest of season 8. If I
think that,
understand correctly.
yeah, I think that's kind of his intent. Which I'm glad he's been good in the past about kind of floating around and helping to prop up teams that need another good pilot. Keep everyone active. So Fran's been awesome. Hoping he steals knowledge from Sorry Guys and brings it back to AIM. But
Yep.
yeah, it's good he's getting that experience.
Yeah, that's great. He has come a long way as a pilot too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's very good now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely been a wild ride, especially if you look at everybody's KDAs all the way back from season 1 up till now, you can see the gradual progression of because they're constantly playing games and constantly, and me being one of them. I've got over 1,100 games in the OTL right now, which is just bonkers. Yeah, yep. 1,137 games. I've already got 33 games on AIM.
Lord.
And I just joined not that long ago. But especially mine, my first season, I ended the season with a .76 KDA. Now I'm over 1.3 and just over what it's just because I'm getting better, and as the teams grow and everything like that, you learn new tricks and everything like that. You will find that it definitely becomes an interesting time. Jazzy Jet, because SG disbanded for a little bit because Zero used to be on SG, and there was some weird issues going on, like computer issues and everything like that. Was that back in season 2?
It was pretty early on. That's probably about right.
Yeah, because Jazzy left Sorry Guys when Sorry Guys disbanded and joined Dynacore for a short time until Birdseye took the reins and brought SG back together. And now Jazzy is on AIM for season 8. Don't know how long he's going to be there. That's going to be entirely up to him. But yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how things shake up over the next bit. Because we are quickly approaching season 8 in MSI, like in October.
Oh gosh, yeah, that should be coming up soon, should it not?
Yeah, yeah.
All the fun
season
stuff
8
coming.
Yeah.
We're getting the show started just in time then.
Yeah,
We'll have that to cover. We'll have the finals cover. Like, that's going to be, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a interesting time. But yeah, the games have definitely been interesting over the past couple of weeks. Especially with the shakeups happening, Dynacore with the addition of Zero, Sly Solid especially has really come far because him and Zero, I see it all the time as of lately. Sly and Zero have been training and stuff like that. They've been doing 1v1 and Zero's been showing them the ropes. Sleepy Panda is trying to learn, but mixed with her schedule and stuff going on her end. And but yeah, especially with their strongest lineup, it'll be curious to see what Dynacore can do with Josham. Josham's a strong pilot. Zero, Sly Solid, Zor, and it'll be curious to see if them four plus the others that are on that team, which is Warp 10, Beltran, Blown to Bits,
Dusty,
yep. I don't see Dusty all that much. Hopefully he can start playing up a little bit more.
He's still fairly active. Heck, they've got 10 active pilots right now. There's not an inactive pilot in the group,
Yeah.
Is that another split coming? I don't know.
We were actually joking about that.
Oh,
earlier.
no. Oh,
We're
God.
like,
We're speaking it into existence right now.
we're like, was DC gonna split again?
It's like it's a microscopic organism. You just split, and then those split.
Yep.
It's just gonna keep replicating.
But yeah, it's gonna be definitely interesting. What's gonna come to be over the next several weeks over the formation of these games. Curious on what Dynacore is going to bring. I'm curious on what these teams, how this shakeup is going to turn about with these. I'm curious on what the boys, how they'll form over time and everything like that. That's going to be interesting as well. Definitely looking forward to it.
Some strong darn teams nowadays. You know,
Yes,
they
for
are.
sure.
top to bottom, it's tough.
Yeah, it's cool looking at just the match results right now and seeing how much closer a lot of these scores are ending up being. You're not seeing quite the same, and maybe some here and there, but not quite the same blowouts that you would see before, and definitely not where you don't look at that. You don't look into that channel and look at the match results expecting to see them, for sure. So it's been a great improvement, and I love the fact that we've got a community that is shuffling the board a little bit to make it more interesting for everyone and give everyone the opportunities to learn. So I think we've got a huge strength here with that.
That's been awesome that the community's kind of been willing to self-balance like that, for sure.
Because I've seen it other places where it's just straight gravitation, and you end up with the best 1-2 teams, whatever, and it just stays that way until everyone else leaves. So
right.
I'm glad we are where we are right now, and I'm excited to see the rest of this season.
Absolutely, yeah. Going into the mid-season tournament, shoot, who knows what to predict out of that? Usually it's kind of a bygone conclusion going into those, and if you're one of the lower ranked teams, you're just like, we'll let the big boys duke it out or whatever. But should be some great games to watch there.
Yep.
I believe that's all we got to cover for this week. We'll try and get a new episode up for next week. Basically, like Durgan was mentioning earlier, we're going to look at everything, what's happened next week, and see how things shake up, who's played, and how that's affecting the rankings and everything like that, how the games went. Team Spotlight, I believe, will be Dynacore Enterprises, I believe.
Yeah. No, I take that back. It's going to be Disoriented Minds.
Disoriented Minds.
Alphabetically speaking,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Yep. What is ABCs anyways?
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm looking at a list that's not even alphabetized, so I'm like picking through it. Wait a minute. What? Oh, that's a Y.
What is the voice fit into this?
Yeah.
Does the count?
Boys,
Yeah.
We've got the Three Queens, the boys.
Take it back to a Blockbuster style. Just put an
right.
apostrophe on there.
Yep. We'll look at Disoriented Minds next time, and we'll see how their growth has been. Tobias, thank you for joining us for our first episode. It was very, very fun to have you.
Yeah, thanks for letting me hop in. Coach Wagons or whatever your official titles may be.
Definitely been a blast. That's going to do it for this time. Durgan and myself, Descent Max, we will be back on the next episode.
We'll see you next time.
Catch you guys later.